Good evening, my name is Amir Hajmukhambetov and I am a first-year student at Nazarbayev University Graduate School of Educational Leadership School Education. Today, let me show my presentation about my progress on this semester's writing assignments. I've been taking academic writing course for a while and I've learned and written quite enough, and right now I'm ready to analyze and reflect on the changes that I've made to my writing assignments and my writing skills in general during this semester. So, first of all, let me present my writing assignments course. So, I've written diagnostic writing, writing assignment number 1, writing assignment number 2. For diagnostic writing, I gained 92 points. For writing assignment number 1, 86 points. For writing assignment number 2, 82 points. Also, let me show you my similarity report. For diagnostic writing, it was 16% of similarity. For writing assignment number 1, for the rough draft, it was 21%, and then for the final draft, I was likely able to decrease it for 12 points. And for writing assignment number 2, it was 23 points. So, to be honest, the writing assignments were not easy to complete, and unfortunately, I did not gain the highest points because I made some mistakes. So, and right now, let me describe and analyze my mistakes within the main topics. So, main topics corresponded with writing criteria, to some of writing criteria. So, the main topics in my presentation, they are content, clarity, paraphrasing, and APA citation that I struggled a lot during my writing process. So, let's pay attention to the next slide. In this slide, let's speak about the content. And here are the examples from my writing assignment number 1 final draft. And in this example, it is seen that I used information from the sources to describe the focus of Stransberry and Kimes' study. And here you can see the instructions comments. And according to them, it was insufficient because I had to pay attention to focus on the outcomes of the research rather than the research process, because the outcomes are more important. And also, my instructor's comments made me come to the conclusion that it is immensely important to study the sources thoroughly. It means that we have to study the sources carefully while preparing our writing assignment. And also, let me show you one more example, taken from my writing assignment number 2, final draft. It was definition essay, and I was describing the concept change agent. Here, I presented the definition, but unfortunately, I took this definition from the internet source. And according to my instructor, we have to find and use academic sources, and we have to use academic sources for definitions. Unfortunately, I did not use academic sources. Okay, so let's move on. The next thing that I would like to touch, it is the clarity. And here you can see the following examples, taken from writing assignment number 2, final draft. And to be honest, these sentences are unnecessary. I mean, these sentences are taken from my introduction. And as you can see, they hardly connect the topic, hardly touch the topic of my essay. As you remember, as I mentioned earlier, the topic was a change agent. And here you can see my instructor's comments, which says that the introduction was too broad for the scope of my paper. And in accordance with the ANSEM Guide to Essay Writing, we have to avoid sweeping panoramic introductions that give little clue. And in my example, you can see that these two sentences are really unnecessary and they do not directly connected to the topic. So, and let's move on. The next topic that I'm going to discuss and describe it is paraphrasing, summarizing, and APA citation. So, and let me present the following example. Here is the example taken from writing assignment number 2, rough draft and final draft. So here you can see the following example, and in this example, these collocations were not properly paraphrased. And also, I made a serious mistake, and I did not mention the source, because I took this information from the source, from the academic source. And according to the source book, according to the authors Dollarhide and Haun, a good paraphrase is different enough from the original source. And a good paraphrase changes grammar and vocabulary as much as possible. Yeah. Unfortunately, I made this kind of mistake. But let me show you a good paraphrase, because there are some successful examples in my writing assignment. For example, here you can see a sentence taken from the paragraphs. And this sentence is, this information was taken from the source, and it was completely paraphrased. And also, I was likely able to mention the author. So, also let me show you an example, successful example of a good summary. It was taken from writing assignment number 1, final draft. And summary, it is similar to paraphrase, but it includes your position to the topic. And here you can see that I mentioned the date, yeah, near the author, and I also mentioned the pages. So, and it was actually, and I actually did it in accordance with the APA guidelines. So let's move on. Here are the following examples taken from all the writing assignments. And here you can see that in my diagnostic writing, I mentioned the authors, but I did not mention the date and I did not mention the pages. So fortunately, my PS recommend me and they remind me about this thing. And in my final draft, I wrote the date and I wrote the pages. And the next example is taken from writing assignment number 1, rough draft. And here you can see that in this example, I also mentioned the authors, and I didn't write the date, and I didn't mention the source. Fortunately, in writing assignment number 1 in final draft, I added the date and I added the pages. And one more example, taken from writing assignment number 2, it was a sentence about the change agent, and actually it was direct in-text citation, word for word text. But unfortunately, I didn't use quotation marks. Yeah, and actually I wrote contraction of the word paragraph incorrectly. So fortunately, in the final drafts, I changed it. So these are the main topics and the main examples taken from our writing assignments connected to the topics that I discussed and I described. And what I have learned, proper academic essay structure, because I remember my own writing experience, and actually I didn't follow the essay structure properly. And thanks to my instructors, thanks to my peers, and thanks to the source book, I learned the proper essay structure. And also, I learned paraphrasing and summarizing techniques. Of course, I cannot say that I do it perfectly, but actually I apply some techniques, and I do hope that in my upcoming writing assignments I will keep improving this kind of skill. And one of the important things that I have changed in my writing habit, of course, I started avoiding panoramic generic opening sentences. And actually you have seen horrible examples from my writing assignments. And actually I have stopped doing it. And also one important thing that I learned, of course, it is that all the arguments that you use in your writing, they have to be supported by evidence from academic sources. So, of course, we have to use reliable and relevant academic sources. And also, I learned formatting in accordance with the APA style, 6th edition APA style. I still make mistakes, but actually I strive to do it properly. I will say my intention is to do it properly as much as possible. So I do hope that in my upcoming writings I will format my writing assignments properly in accordance with APA style. So, continuing challenges that I face, of course, it is insufficient knowledge about the topic. I mean that while I'm writing my assignments, I have to study my sources carefully. Yeah, and I have to analyze it properly, and I have to find out the best ways to incorporate, to apply the evidence from the sources. And sometimes I do not add enough value to the paper. I mean that sometimes my arguments are weak and I do not properly use evidence from the academic sources. And of course, proper APA formatting. I still make mistakes, yeah, to be honest. But fortunately, I'll try to change the situation, because I'm sure and I'm confident that I will pay more attention, I will devote more time to study sources properly, and I will try to write my assignments properly and try to incorporate evidences carefully and correctly. And of course, I will reread APA style manual one more time and paying attention to important points in APA style. So I do hope that these steps that I have already planned will help me to improve my writing skills and to increase the level of my writing assignments. So then I will be able to gain the highest points. So, dear audience, that's all. And thank you for your attention. And I would like to address some discussion questions. The first one, what are the most powerful strategies of successful academic writing? And what is the effective way of incorporating several evidence into an argument from different sources? So I do hope that you will be able to answer these questions. So, thank you very much for your attention one more time. I do hope that you enjoyed my presentation, and goodbye.